All right, Molly, you ready for me to go bye-bye? Huh? You ready for... I'm going to go bye-bye for a few days. Yeah. We'll miss you too, yeah. All right, hey.
I love you.
Love you too. It is 10/22, Thursday the 9th. 10/22, Thursday the 9th. I'm headed to Los Angeles for the Conscious Life Expo. And away we go.
Enjoy your trip.
I will. Thank you.
Say hi to Gerald Lawrence for me. Say hi. Hi, Gerald Lawrence. I wish I were going.
All right. Bye. How you doing? Well, okay, today is Friday the 10th at 8:04 a.m. I'm at the Conscious Life Expo at the Hilton LAX airport. I'm getting ready to head down for the first time. You will see what the crowds are like, and I'm going to meet my team for breakfast to plan out the event. Looking very forward to it. Let's go. Hey, welcome to the vlog.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised to meet this young lady. She showed me some very interesting art, and I was very moved by it. Can you first tell us your name? And
Yes, my honor. So my name is Tuane, and I'm from Brazil, and I live here in Los Angeles for the last 8 years. And since I'm a very young girl, I had a contact with beings of other dimensions, and I could access other realms like past and future, and simultaneously happening here in this present moment. I didn't understand nothing what was happening, or my astral projections or dreams and visions and sounds, and until being materialized in this realm right here in front of me, and I never really knew how to deal with. And then I started to study and work with shamanic practices and work with different religions to try to understand what was happening with me, and then went within and understood that we are all artists and creators of our realities. And if those energies and those images was happening to me, I trusted that everyone could see them. One time I was at home and praying for the skies, and the wind came in, and I had a time of, wow, I can reflect their faces through a surface. and take a picture of it. And using this chi of creation and power of manifestation to create this reality here, it is possible. I trust in myself, I can do it. And the power is unlimited in this universe, right? So I got aluminum foil that reflects the light very well, and or water, or a glass, depends in the moment what it is, and my iPhone. And I can feel and see the face on the surface of the reflection, aluminum or water, and I take a picture with my iPhone.
Wow.
The iPhone. And
I mean, were these things you were seeing at first, and then you wanted to capture on film, or did you discover them by taking pictures?
So I know I saw them before, but they would come as humanoids, more like they would come in different ways, you know. Maybe to not make me feel afraid. 2 years ago, yes, I was outside from my house. I was married for 8 years, and I have a son. He's gonna be 8, February 16. And Valentin, my son, said, "Let's go take pictures, Mom, outside." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I wasn't ready. I always kind of do like a little prayer in ceremony. He's like, "No, let's just go." He got the aluminum foil. He got the aluminum foil, hold it for me, and he said, "Take it." And I took one.
He held it right in front of him?
Right in front, like this. And I didn't see the being coming. I saw it was so fast. The blue orb, the sacred geometry, like so fast, so fast. I didn't do anything. I didn't dance, or it was just there.
Wow.
And it came through the sun. So the sun was shining really strong, and the light came directly like from the sun, this blue light. And then I just like, and the face was right there. It was so strong. And I took many pictures, like, and so it was like, and I have the whole process, and I have many pictures of the process actually. It's really beautiful. And then the golden mouth. Oof.
Yeah. We'll have the image up right now for everyone to see.
And to be honest, in the moment when that happened, I did not know it was a blue avian. The moment when I saw. And then when I started to meditate with the image and feel it, and it's like, what is this? What is that energy? And first I thought it was one of the specters of Archangel Michael in some way. And then I was like, it's not 100%. Like, I feel the love, I feel the purity, I feel the peace. What is this? And then right, Facebook, open my Facebook, Goode, blue avians. What? Click it in, the drawing, and the explanation is like, oh my God, that's it.
Yeah.
And Goode, the blue avian, the story, I felt that was right, and then I started connecting more with the blue avian energy, and then pray, and then open up portals, and every time by my side. I was in Colombia training with a tribe by my side, and I could feel, and every time I would say ra, 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 and I would just like dance and say ra, ra, and I feel after seeing you speaking, ra.
Right, yeah. It's very cool. Yeah, a lot of people think that there's only one person that is getting contact from the blue avians, but this is proof many people are getting contact from the blue avians. And not only that, many of us here are blue avian souls that have come here on a mission, and this might be one of them. I don't know. But, I really appreciate you sharing the images and the process with us, and sharing yourself.
It's my honor. I'm ready for the truth.
Yeah, I think we all are.
Yeah, we all are. It's time. Thank you. Blessings.
Days left, and I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world right here, right now at the Conscious Life Expo. What a show we've got lined up for you tonight. I want to thank really quick everybody here at the Conscious Life Expo, Q, Serena, Diana, Otto, Neil in the back, where's CG? Thank you everybody for all of your help. This is one of the great events all year in the country. There's probably 5,000 people here. And it's just an honor and a privilege to hang out with all of you who broadcast live. Now, I'm going to say this really quick. This is a live radio broadcast, okay? We're feeding out all around the world. We've got video cameras. We're doing a live video stream, so welcome to everybody that is watching Fade to Black here from the Conscious Life Expo, and of course, listening to all of the feeds around the world. So welcome. We have got an amazing show tonight. We are broadcasting live here from the Conscious Life Expo, right here from the Plaza Ballroom at the LAX Hilton. Our guest tonight, and as you can already see, will be, are you ready? David Wilcock, Corey Goode, give it up. They're sitting right here to my left. Corey, you've finally stepped out into the public for the first time over this last year. Rocky road. It's not meant to be smooth, or that it's just not worth it, right? But what has 2016 been like? And here we are at the very front of 2017. What kind of year has it been for the both of you, David?
Well, this is a very critical year. We've seen the WikiLeaks stuff take off, and we're looking at what appears to be some very rapid progress towards the disclosure that we all want. Some of these WikiLeaks emails have included statements from Edgar Mitchell saying that benevolent ETs are absolutely real, that they are going to prevent any nuclear war from taking place. Discussions between Edgar Mitchell and the lead singer of Blink-182, Tom DeLonge. And Tom DeLonge is now coming out saying that he's got 10 insiders that are giving him information to prepare us for some sort of actual announcement about the reality of what's going on. So 2016 for me was a year in which not only are we seeing steps towards disclosure, but in the course of this incredibly contentious presidential election that we saw, there was a lot of people who really didn't want to see Hillary win. And the reason why becomes clear when you start to look at these disclosures and you find out, oh my God, if any of this stuff is true, it's so bad. And we are potentially right now, I'm sorry to feedback a little bit.
No, you're fine.
We're starting to see the possibility. There's this FBI insider who's been leaking information very recently on 4chan, saying that potentially next week we're actually going to see the first prosecutions of pedophiles in the Washington, D.C. arena. Next week is when that's supposed to start. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Because that's the first step. And the next step, as Corey and others have been leaking, is that once we go through this really dark stuff, we start to hear some of the good stuff, which apparently is going to begin with an announcement about ruins in Antarctica that are actually artificial, built by humans, and it's not just an ice wasteland. It appears that Atlantis was Antarctica.
Why do you think it is? I'm going to jump in really quick because we only have so much time tonight. And I'm going to defer this also to Corey. I would say that 50% of the phone calls that come in to Coast or to Fade to Black, I'm getting a little feedback too. Neil, can you chill it? Okay. Antarctica, right? I'll defer to the audience right now. Who wants to hear about Antarctica, right? This is on the front of everybody's mind. It's what they want to know. Corey.
Well, everyone's been programmed that way for a reason. The information they're going to release on Antarctica is going to be the first of this limited disclosure that they plan on doing. They're going to let us know that there was an ancient human civilization, that it was destroyed in a major cataclysm, and then they're going to eventually tell us that we have a space program, secret space program. It's going to be one of the lower ones. And then they're going to say, by the way, that secret space program has found ruins like this on other planets in our solar system. And that's how they plan on slowly rolling it out and doing a
doing disclosure over 50 to 100 years.
A comic book that comes out 2 years after this breaks into the news called UFO Flying Saucers issue number 2 actually did a comic treatment of this. Here's the cover of the magazine, and Gold Key Comics, they're the ones that used to do the Donald Duck. My father used to take me to the newsstand every Sunday. I'd buy these Gold Key Comics all the time.
Our graphic novel's going to look way better than that.
Okay, fair enough. This is a historical document, though, bro. You got to appreciate that. And sure enough, what we see here is UFOs on the moon. And then, sure enough, we have this guy here, and he says, my colleagues and I believe that they may be some kind of obelisk, completely different from anything else on the moon's surface. So that's a very interesting thing. There's all this stuff going on, including back in 1958. Now remember, the NASA frame of that face that I showed you, that didn't show up until 1976. This is 1958. What the heck is this? Come on. How do you possibly maintain a skeptical opinion in the face of evidence like this? A 1958 comic that is called The Face on Mars, in which the actual shape and structure of the face itself, other than the fact that it's tilted up straight instead of lying flat, it looks frickin' identical almost to the actual face on Mars. And then the whole story is, I talk about this in Ascension Mysteries, my new book. It's all about this ancient race that warred and blew up their planet. They talk about the asteroid belt being the remnants of this exploded planet. So this was the first of the images that Corey came up with. This is a line art illustration of the original concept art for his new graphic novel, which is now this. And this is a big new thing. So Corey, what do you want to say about the Sphere Being Alliance?
I was approached by Tier Air, and he stated that we're doing really good work, but when it comes down to it, we're preaching to the choir. We need to reach outside of the esoteric community, if you want to call it that, and begin to plant seeds of this information into other communities. You know, the sci-fi community, the graphic novel community, all of these people, they have a lot of crossover with this community. Their minds are primed for the seed to be, they have fertile minds ready for the seed to be planted. And from the beginning, Tier Air told me it doesn't matter, or when I would tell him no one's going to believe me, he would tell me it's of no consequence. And I would shake my head. It's a little bit of a consequence to me. But, you know, and the fact that we've done all these episodes of Cosmic Disclosure to back up my information, and people are wondering why now I'm sharing it in a sci-fi sort of format. And it is to spread this information, especially the Blue Avian message, to the masses as much as possible.
All right.
This is a rendition of the craft that we arrived in. It
arrived where?
To the Mars facility.
Okay.
So it looked a little bit different than that, but that's the one where I described being taken with Gonzalez and one of the ICC bigwigs, and we went to a Mars facility to do an inspection. And the inspection was for them to prove to us that they weren't using slave labor, but they wanted to take us to several bases that were known about, and we had intel about a base that we weren't supposed to know about, and we asked to go there, and we verified that slave labor.
And that's what we have here. So this is you sitting inside the ship, correct? And
yes.
Looking at a map of Mars?
Yes. It's like a big screen smart glass pad.
And I remember you telling me that the ICC representative who's trying to come up clean with your Secret Space Program Alliance folks, who now seem to have the upper hand, thanks to the Blue Avians, which we'll get into that in a minute, they said, hey, yeah, just go to any one of these bases on this map. And then what did Gonzalez end up saying?
All of a sudden, new points on the map started showing up, and he said, we want to go there. And
it turned out that one of the defectors from one of the secret space programs that joined the SSP Alliance was from there. Now, what I hadn't told about that situation in the past, if people remember, we were going to bring back a family with us for them to be interviewed. This family was this guy's family, this defector's family.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. That I did not know. What are we seeing now?
This is a rendition of how I described, and we flew down into, looked like almost an ancient river system, curving sort of, I guess, mountains. And then we flew right in to an opening in a mountain that is somewhat similar to this. And then that's when we landed our craft and were escorted into the facility where we began our tour.
And don't forget that as we're live streaming this, all of this video feed is going directly into the live stream computer. So you're going to see versions of these slides on the live stream that you can order that are going to look a lot better than what we're seeing on the screen here. So just bear that in mind.
This is the dart, what I sometimes accidentally call a Dodge dart. But it fits 2 crew in the front, and then in the back there are 3 seats. Not a lot of room for cargo. It's just a transport. This was what was sent to my backyard to pick me up, to take me to several different places, but on this occasion to the Lunar Operation Command.
We're going to talk about what the SSP Alliance is about. So let's do that really briefly. These guys are not wanting to keep this all secret from us, right? This meeting that you got brought to wasn't about keeping secrecy. It was about disclosure.
Absolutely. The mandate of the SSP Alliance has been, it is time to disseminate all of these advanced technologies, but disseminate it in a way to where all of humanity is exposed to it at the same time, not just a small group of privileged. This is their mandate. They want full disclosure. The SSP Alliance is probably the only group out there right now that's still rooting for full disclosure.
About 2 years ago, I heard the Blue Avian message for the first time, and it hit me directly in the heart. Anybody else have a similar experience? I think all of us are being brought together right now for various reasons, and the world is coming to a place where we're being brought up in a higher vibration. And Corey here, you know, you're at the front line of that, man. The front line of that. And he was tasked to bring the message of the Blue Avians to a larger audience. And it was probably about 4 months ago when he came to me with this idea for a comic book. How do you get this information to the people that are shut down, the people that are locked up? How many of you have family members that you would love to introduce this to, but have no way of doing that? When Corey said comic book at first, I kind of was like, what? And then I thought about it, and it makes sense, you know? Comic books have been used going back to World War II as far as a way of disseminating information. The images, the combination of simple text with images, it's very much like an infographic. It lands and it plants those seeds in the subconscious. Corey's been avid about trying to find a way that is an all ages, you know, platform for this message to go out. So as he talked with me more and more, this developed, and then lots of people started coming on board. We now have a very large team of creative individuals, and what we're going to play for you tonight is the launch of the trailer here for Sphere Being Alliance, Return of the Guardians. Welcome, everyone. Enjoy the evening.
What is their message?
Their message for humanity is that we need to become more loving, we need to become forgiving of ourselves and forgiving of others. We need to focus on becoming more service to others on a daily basis. And we need to focus on raising our vibration and our consciousness.
Holy crap, right? I'll just say it now. I'm Jimmy Church. I'm here to introduce Corey, Fade to Black, Coast to Coast AM. Are you guys all believers? Are you? I'm so humbled to introduce Corey. I've done this a lot over the last year, introducing Corey and David, and you guys all know that. So yeah, here I am. No big deal. But you know what? Everybody wave at me right now. That's for Corey, all right? All right, I'm going to keep this, we're all here to hang out with Corey, so I'm going to keep this very brief. I do want to say this. Every time that I introduce Corey, or I bring him on the show, or we're doing interviews, I say the same thing, and I really mean this. I get emails, I get comments. Everybody knows about Corey, myself, and David's relationship, right? You guys all get that. You've all heard the interviews, right? Okay, all right. Everybody says, why don't they talk more? Why aren't we getting information? Why don't they talk more? Right? And I'm like, that's all they do. Right? That's all they do is they're writing, the websites, the web presence, the YouTube, Fade to Black. They would be on Fade to Black or Coast to Coast every week. I have to book other guests. I do. But I would do that. They are right there. Corey, am I wrong in saying that? Can I shut you up? Say no. That's what he wants to do. That's what he is here to do today. I am so excited. Please listen to everything that he has to say. It's not about to question things or to have judgment. It's to collect information and share that knowledge with your friends. We are at the brink of things. Can you guys feel this? No longer are we the strange group, man. It's the rest of the world that's tripping. Am I right? I'm going to say this right now, and I mean this. I want to introduce my good friend to you, Mr. Corey Goode. Corey, get it up here.
Thank you. Is this a sign? Well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate everyone that's live streaming at home joining me as well. Let me position myself. First of all, I want to thank Roger and Renee for putting all this together for me. It's outstanding. Thank you. most of you have heard my story, and I'm going to go over it again. So a lot of this you've already heard, but you have some eye candy to go with it this time. Well, we have all heard Mars is a dead planet, right? Well, it's not an uninhabited planet. This is a declassified film of Camp Century. It's a top secret Arctic base, and it was from Project Iceworm. I'm showing this because not only have they been building bases in Antarctica like this since the 50s, but this is very similar to how they built bases on the Moon and Mars. They would tunnel out the ground, clear out the ground area like this, and then use mostly local materials, fabricated materials, to build inside. And then they would use nuclear power in the beginning. Then they graduated to where they were using thorium generators, and then now they have zero-point energy, so they don't have to have the more dangerous technologies. I'll let this play for a few minutes and chime in. Some of you may have seen this on the internet. It was released, I don't know, like a year or two ago. Now, they would ship, everything was prefabricated. Everything had been put together on Earth, designed to go together like a puzzle by numbers. And I helped actually to build out an outpost on Mars. And we used a lot of the local materials on the surface after they had built below ground, and it was very much like this. It was much lower tech than you would expect. The interplanetary corporate conglomerate. We've talked about how they use slave labor. They have been in continual trade with over 900 ET species. And believe it or not, non-terrestrials from other star systems are traveling here because they love the technology we build. There are ETs coming to trade in their used cars for cars that we built. If that's not bizarre, I mean, that's how far ahead our breakaway civilization is. Now, they don't have money in the cosmos. It's a barter system. And they barter and trade technology and biological material. And I'll kind of leave it at that. I don't want to get too dark, but it involves the human slave trade with close to 1 million people a year. The inner Earth seems to be probably the most popular topic that I've talked about. A lot of you remember me talking about witnessing the city in the deep cavern. This is an animation that Renee created to help depict it. It's very good. The only difference is the cavern was the size of a state. There's no way to really accurately depict on scale how large it was. Unbelievable. There was mist up along the ceiling of the cavern. It was, I mean, like New York or Manhattan under the ground. Inside these pillars, natural pillars, they had built into them. It looked like a bunch of condos. I guess that's where all they don't have money. I was going to say that's where all the rich people go, but they don't have money. They're a fourth density being, and apparently they trace their lineage back to the Earth, and some of them, including the Anshar here, back like 18 million years. Here's a new image of the Anshar Library in Antarctica, the beginning of partial disclosure, which we want to avoid. Recently, I was brought down to the Anshar city. I was teleported and found myself in an area I hadn't been. It was a hangar bay that was full of these very large egg-shaped craft. And waiting there for me was Gonzalez, Kari, and two of the very quiet Asian-looking groups that have the crystal under their skin on their forehead. They all have a crystal implanted under their forehead. And they're very tall, they're very quiet, and they have a very, very strong presence. They don't have to talk. And I will continue with the experience after we got in the egg-shaped craft. They were obviously ready to go on some sort of an expedition. They were wearing suits that looked like sort of like chainmail, and when you put them on and they are activated, the chainmail just kind of the threads get tighter and tighter, and it looks like it's all one piece. The boots, the helmet looked kind of like what people, what is it called? Fencers, the fencing helmet. It's not called a helmet, a mask. Yeah. In the 1938-39 Antarctic expedition, the Nazis discovered Atlantis, and they kept it quiet. They found what we are now calling pre-Adamite ruins, and this is a group that I showed the picture of that looks like, you know, the pharaohs. They have the very strange torsos. They have weird-shaped, narrow ribs, real wide hips. Definitely don't look like they're from around here. The originals were 12 to 14 foot tall, extremely thin, very skinny. And when they found these bodies, they said it was obvious that they had not developed naturally on this planet. They had developed on a planet with much different barometric pressure and gravity. Since these ruins have been discovered, we've all seen on the news all the different bigwigs in the cabal that have been going down and visiting Antarctica for many different reasons. And it's basically turned into a cabal Disneyland. What has been discovered is they've discovered 3 massive ships that were used to crash land on our planet. And they jokingly call them the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, because it brought this group here to Earth. We flew right through the wall and then popped out in a ice cavern similar to where I had been taken before. Where we landed, it was probably a football field away. They were hard at work excavating, using pressurized steam to dig through the snow and expose some of the structures. There were all types of bodies that were laying out from these pre-Adamites and their genetic experiments. There was even one, it was a male about close to 5 foot tall, shorter, and he was in the fetal position, and he had a tail. So this group, they were very big into genetic experiments, and from what we found there, it had gotten completely out of control. The bodies were not, you know, how you picture the caveman just frozen and then you chip him out and reanimate him. They were in terrible shape. Their bodies were all contorted, arms wrapped around their bodies a few times like they had just been hit by something like, you know, a deluge of water, which froze instantly. After we had gone inside the library, and the two, and I don't have a name for them right now, 2 Asian-looking groups, they went in and immediately started removing, in the snowbank, there was obviously a corner of a building sticking out, and the suits we were wearing allowed us to walk right through the wall. And then we were inside this library that was full of all types of scrolls, bound books, and they walked right to one tray and they opened up a folding like box and started loading it with these metal scrolls. And I saw one of the metal scrolls that had popped open, and they looked like laser etching on them. And they were strange looking characters. And to this, I don't know why they removed them, but they obviously did not want these pre-Adamites getting access to this information. The pre-Adamites, when this deluge happened, everyone on the main continent, they were wiped out. All of the enclaves across the planet survived, and all they had with them was the technology that they had brought with them and the knowledge to engineer. So they were in survival mode. We got a little bit of time. Does anyone want to do a Q&A? Yeah. Do we have another mic? Awesome.
Corey, oops, sorry. Corey.
No problem.
Yeah, I came up with this question a year ago, but after today, I think I know your answer. But basically, are you optimistic about the eternal struggle between good and evil for the positive outcome? So you can rephrase the question or just say yes or no.
No, you're right. We're seeing it all around us. The energetic changes, they're causing the evil people to become more evil, which they expose themselves. They can't control their behavior, so they expose themselves. And as we're becoming the good people are becoming more awake, we're getting to the point where we're not going to take it anymore. And it's time that we get out and start demanding answers, demanding the full truth. When they come out with these partial disclosure narratives, we need to be in their face and saying, what about this? What about this? And make it impossible for them to draw out over 50 or 100 years this partial disclosure narrative that they're planning on doing, which is they're going to tell us, we found Atlantis. It's amazing. And that's going to blow everybody's minds as it is. A good portion of the planet thinks that the planet's only 7,000 years old. So, it's going to blow their paradigms immediately. Now, eventually, and then after that, they're going to reveal this Air Force, DIA, NSA program that they have two barely more advanced than the ISS. They have two bases up that they made out of repurposed rocket stages as they were launching rockets into space, the lower programs. And they're going to reveal this, and they're going to say, oh, by the way, not only do we have this secret space program, but we've discovered these weird ruins on other planets. That blows our minds again. What they've been doing in Antarctica is since, for the last almost 14, almost 15 years, they've had very prestigious professors, archaeologists coming down and helping them document it. They've been videoing it, documenting the whole process, except they're going to give us a sanitized version to where it's only humans. They're removing from the one site that they've been filming, they've removed all the pre-Adamite bodies and the hybrids and just left the ancient humans that were working with this pre-Adamite group. And then later on, they're going to discover these ships and these pre-Adamite beings. And what the cabal groups had planned on doing is then saying, oh yeah, we knew about this the whole time. We're related to them. We're their bloodline. And therefore you should worship us and make us, your leaders of the planet. And we're not going to let that happen. I don't see how it's possible, but all of these groups have agreed that is the narrative, that is what they're going to push.
Corey, I'd like to know what your knowledge is on the medical field of the titanium that's and implants that are being put in people for mind control.
You know, I haven't heard that specifically, but they use all sorts of methods like that. They use, they use vaccinations for viruses that go around, like the flu vaccine.
Right.
I used to work at a company, a pharmaceutical company that produces